So today we're doing a reading on Zen Buddhism, page 3 of the third Patriarch of Zen. If you want to see the prior videos on the first two pages, you could follow the link in the description on YouTube and it'll take you back to those. So we're just going to go right into page 3. So page 3 says, "Do not seek for the truth, only cease to cherish opinions. Do not remain in a dualistic state. Avoid such easy habits carefully. If you attach even to a trace of this and that, of right and wrong, the mind essence will be lost in confusion. Although all dualities arise from the one, do not be attached even to ideas of this one. When the mind exists undisturbed in the way, there is no objection to anything in the world. And when there's no objection to anything, things cease to be in the old way. When no discriminating attachment arises, the old mind ceases to exist. Let go of things as separate existences, and mind too vanishes. Likewise, when the thinking subject vanishes, so too do the objects created by mind." So we're just going to break it down a little bit real quick. So the first line is extremely powerful. It says, "Don't seek for the truth, only cease to cherish opinions." So how often on our spiritual path we hear about being seekers, seeking out the truth, finding out how it is. And what it says here is only cease to cherish opinions. And what it means by that is that if we let go of our attachment to all of our opinions and preferences and everything that's basically bogging down our mind and keeping us stuck basically in this cycle of mind, that the truth is already behind that and it'll start to reveal itself in its own essence. So by giving up, it doesn't mean that I don't have opinions about certain things, so that's the interesting part, but not so much of an attachment to the opinions, not so much of a this has to be the way that it is always. And when you get into spiritual ideas and spiritual concepts and stuff, it's important to remember that while they could be beneficial tools, you could still get caught in those as opinions as well. Just like specific people get caught in their certain religious beliefs and they get caught in that opinion versus this opinion. And you have to remember that they're still ideas. They're just pointing and helping us reach that ultimate reality, but they're not it. They're just still more constructs of mind. So what this verse is kind of urging us is that once we work through that stuff, it actually, by giving up those opinions, the truth that's already present starts to reveal itself to us. We start to see more of how things really are without ideas attached to them, without names for them, without how people told us they should be or what they mean. Because even say the word enlightenment or freedom or joy or love of God, really, they don't explain it in its totality, because even the word God is just a word that doesn't really explain the true nature because it's unexplainable. So what it goes into after that, it says, "Do not remain in a dualistic state," which dualistic state just means division, thinking I'm separate from you and that I'm separate from the rest of the world and there's right and wrong and such, which is extremely difficult because that's the veil of illusion makes it seem that way. And the division of the mind basically fragmented. The one universal mind fragmented in all these individual minds and broken up makes the world seem separate and different. And that's why it says avoid such easy habits carefully, because it's so much easier to think of myself as separate from everything and everyone else and to put labels and distinctions. And it's very easy to fall into that all the time. And that's why it says avoid such easy habits carefully. If you attach even to a trace of this and that, of right and wrong, the mind essence will be lost in confusion. So this is actually a really far out thing to contemplate, because it's not really talked about much, because a lot of people teach you to stand on your ground, even in religious beliefs, of morals and convictions, and this is the right way to be and this is wrong. I have this opinion on abortion and you have that opinion. I have this opinion on politics and you have that opinion. You love the church. I think the church is a scam. It's right for people to get unemployment money during the pandemic more than other people are making work, and it's wrong for people to get unemployment money during the pandemic making more than people who aren't working. This is right, this is wrong. They don't deserve that. You didn't deserve that to happen to you. That person shouldn't have did that to them. That's all this and that, right and wrong. And really, as noble and virtuous as it might seem, that's what keeps the mind clouded and in confusion. And concepts and frameworks keep us from that pure light of our real essence shining through, of finding the real self. It keeps the illusion of I. So there's like, it could be likened to, some people call it the little self or the big self, and the big self with a capital S is the real you, and the little self with the little s is who you think you are. And so attaching to this, and that takes forever to go, we get a little bit better on it and a little better on it, but attaching to this and that and right and wrong is the essence of what keeps us stuck, and it's so entrenched in us from previous lifetimes. From this lifetime, we're so mired in our ideas and beliefs. And then it says here, although all dualities arise from the one, which means all this illusory world, all the dualities of this and that, right and wrong, me and you, self and other, anything, objects that are separate from myself, this poster behind me, all dualities, yin and yang, arise from the one, from God, from that one source. They all come from the one, and they all are the one. Do not even be attached to ideas of this one. So, and that's the other dangerous part when you get into, philosophy, spiritual ideas, concepts, ideas of God, is that there's no way to explain it in words. Even those beings that go out there and figure out how it all is and go into samadhi and trance and out-of-body experiences and forget their self and attain enlightenment and liberation, when they come back, then they just try and put that in words and try and tell you how it is. They're just conveying that message the best that they can. And unless you're around them and really feel their love or their presence, the words are definitely helped, and spirit and essence can be conveyed through writing as well. But what they're telling you is don't be attached to basically your idea of God or your idea of the universe or your idea of oneness, because it's so much more than that. It's this and it's that, and it's way more than we even could fathomably comprehend it. You can't comprehend it with the limited rational analytic mind. So it's still just another idea, which is useful and beneficial for movement back towards the source, but you don't want to get caught in it. Otherwise, it could end up as an impediment. Then it says, when the mind exists undisturbed in the way, so when the mind's okay with how it all is, there's no objection to anything in the world. And when there's no objection to anything, things cease to be in the old way. And I'd like to say this is one of the most important parts of this page, but it's all very beneficial. When there's no objection to anything in the world, things cease to be in the old way. So I've been working on a meditation a lot lately, just saying to myself throughout the day, I guess kind of a mantra, I accept things as they are. Breathing in, I see myself as water. Breathing out, I reflect things as they are. And that's a Thich Nhat Hanh meditation. And so really that's what it's about, is being here now, accepting things as they are. It doesn't mean that you don't still do actions and you don't change things, but being conscious and aware in the present moment, accepting the dualities of there being life and death here, there being pain and suffering, you having your own physical, mental, and spiritual maladies, all the pain you see on a vast scale, animals getting slaughtered for us to eat on a daily basis by the millions, all the pain, people you see starving, political upheaval, from collective pain to individual pain, and beauty. And because it's really not, it is pain and suffering, but it also depends on your view of it and how you label it. Like Hafiz, the Sufi mystic, has a poem where he says, he says all acts have become the same to him. And he says, if you could dance just as joyfully when you hear a nightingale cry or hear a nightingale sing as when you hear a man's last scream before he hangs himself, then you finally have began to understand God a little bit. Because to God, to somebody outside of one or outside of duality, if we're sitting in that space of oneness, mind, not the little mind, not the analytical mind, but in Buddhism they use the mind as the whole rather than saying the soul, for example. So if you're sitting in the soul or the real mind, there is no right and wrong, and there's no objection, because all my pain and suffering becomes from resistance to what is. All my anguish is a resistance of how it is. It doesn't mean that there can't be physical pain or that anger can't arise. That is phenomena as a part of nature. But my attachment and aversion is what causes me real pain, real anguish, real sustained separation from the source. So that really it becomes about being here now, accepting things as they are, accepting my good qualities, accepting my low self-esteem, accepting my anger, accepting my anxiety. And really, paradoxically, that's the best way to work on it. That's the best way for you to heal from it. So we do cultivate wholesome states of mind, but anger and other feelings that are natural phenomenon of nature, thought forms, are still going to arise. So anger arising in you, for example, or low self-esteem arising in you, yes, they do come from identification as a separate entity, but when they arise in the moment based off of internal or external stimuli, they're just phenomena happening. Just like I have a candle burning here. There's clouds. There's no clouds in the sky right now, but there's clouds that go across the sky. The sun shines. My dogs play in the yard. Cats are eating their catnip. There's people going to the store. There's feelings arising, just like there's plants growing out of the ground. So due to our extreme attachment and selfish delusion, I think there's a me that all these feelings are arising to, and I identify them as myself. I'm anger. I have low self-esteem. This is my anxiety. Really, that would be inaccurate to say. That just is attachment to it. It'd be more accurate to say, oh, there's the anxiety or the anger, or look at it with less of detachment. Oh, low self-esteem, my old friend, here again. And so that cultivates less of an attachment to it, more of an acceptance of what is, because it's just another passing feeling, just phenomena. If your consciousness doesn't get delineated into that attachment, it's okay. Like Ram Dass would talk about it as a picture of a gray cloud, and there's sun around it, but you put the picture in a little picture frame because that was all you had. And so when you look at the picture, all you can see is the gray cloud, and that's when you're caught in the mind in a gray cloud. But then if you start to take it out, if you take the picture out of the frame, then you see the gray cloud's only a part of it, and really it's surrounded by a blue spacious sky. And that's about maintaining awareness and breaking the attachment. Is sure, anger arises, but there's also the big spacious sky surrounding the anger that's letting it be what it is. And so that's what it goes into. It says, when no discriminating attachment arises. So when you stop discriminating so much and stop being attached to this versus that. A good example would be getting ice cream. Say you go to the store and you prefer vanilla ice cream, and that's okay. If you get to pick, you pick vanilla ice cream. But if they don't have it and they only have strawberry ice cream, then you say, and you take the strawberry ice cream, and you're just as content. You prefer to stay in a nice hotel, maybe you can afford a nice hotel, but the nice hotel's booked and you have to stay in a little motel. Indiscriminating attachment arising would be if you needed it, you were attached to staying in that nice hotel versus that motel. No attachment, it's okay. Just new circumstances. It is how it is. And therein lies peace, acceptance, and freedom of mind, which allows for reaching into deeper aspects of the self. And then it says, let go of things as separate existences. So stop thinking that things behave in their own way, because really they're all completely interrelated. It's, if you could see all this dissolve right now, you would just see it's just a dance of energy moving around, and it's all dependent on each other. And there's a karmic law unfolding, which is cause and effect, interrelatedness of all things. Thich Nhat Hanh calls it interbeing. All things have an interbeing. So let go of things as separate existences. Stop thinking that they inherently exist on their own. That's what Buddhism teaches. There's no inherent existence in phenomenon. And mind too vanishes. Because the little mind, the analytical mind, is also a part of the illusion as well. It's not separate from the illusion. So the I that we think we are also falls within illusion, and in a weird way they perpetuate each other, because the mind is powerful. So the mind actually manifests reality, and we're not powerful enough. I'm not powerful enough here as an individual entity to lift this phone off the ground without doing anything, but that is possible if I was. So if I think of building a fence, I'm not powerful enough to manifest the fence out of thin air without doing the work, but it still starts in the mind, and then we do the work and get it done. And then it says, likewise, when the thinking subject vanishes, which is us, who we think we are, the subject that thinks, that always thinks I this and I that. Swami Satchidananda said, if you want to figure out how much attachment you have, how far away you are from the goal, consider how many things you think of mentally or outwardly as me and mine. And as many things as you think of as me, as mine, as I possess, as I have, as I'm that's how far away you are from the goal. Because totally free being doesn't identify anything as me and mine. So likewise, when the thinking subject vanishes, so too do the objects created by mind, which is really this whole plane of reality is created by mind, but it manifests as a collective consciousness. So collectively, we all need this to manifest, which is why it's how it is. And obviously, we're not consciously maintaining this. So I'm not my conscious awareness right now that I know of isn't maintaining this whole existence. But the super consciousness, or the collective super consciousness to which we're all connected, is maintaining this entire reality, because beings need to be manifesting here to working out their karma. If no life in any form needed to exist, then the objects created by mind, this whole universe, would cease to be. So it's actually a collective holding together of form. And so this is a really powerful reading. I mean, almost every line in here is something you could do a whole, a sustained period of meditation and thought about and application. And we'll start, that was page 3 out of, I think, about 7 or 8 that happened to be how they have this little booklet set up of the third patriarch of Zen. If you go back in my playlist and listen to the other two on YouTube, the first one will kind of give you a little history about this book and explain what book we're talking about. You could actually get it on there for yourself if you want. So we'll be back soon. Next time I'll be moving on to page 4. And thank you guys.